What's going on, world? It's your boy Pope, and I'm gonna do something a little bit unconventional today. And the reason for this is that it was pointed out to me that because there was a few different episodes I wanted to make, but it was pointed out to me that I'm really at my best when I'm talking about stuff that I'm passionate about and I really care about. I think that a lot of parody and a lot of making fun of stuff, the best way to do it is to understand it and to know a lot about it. Otherwise, you're just pointing at something you don't understand and saying, huh, that's dumb. And that's not the most entertaining thing in the entire universe. What's entertaining is when you can deeply analyze something. So I guess I didn't really envision this as something like sticking with like stuff that only a lot of people care about to try to rack up views or whatever. That's not really my MO. I'm kind of just doing this as a creative outlet. And so I'm going to talk about things I care about. And if you care about them too, then all the better. And if you don't, then that's cool. Maybe I can help you care about them. And if you're just that set in your ways, then that's fine too. Maybe we can still have a laugh together. So today, I'm going to talk to you about Dwarf motherfucking Fortress. Now, for those of you who don't know, Dwarf Fortress is a PC game. It was created by two brothers, Tarn Adams, and the other brother that nobody gives a fuck about or remembers his name. Maybe his name is like Adam. Okay, I don't remember. So Tarn and his unnamed poor ass sucks to suck brother made this game called Dwarf Fortress. And the idea of Dwarf Fortress is that if you play it in its purest form, not everybody does, they have tile sets and stuff, but if you play it in its purest form, it's an ASCII game. So your screen might typically look a little bit like this. And I'm actually going to use color this time, guys. It's going to be nice. I hope you're stoked as I am. So you're going to see my process. So the screen typically will look a little bit like this while you're playing. Okay, now could I go on YouTube and grab a screenshot or Google or whatever? Yes. Am I going to? No, because this is my fucking show and I can do whatever I want. Okay, you know what? That is supposed to straighten out automatically. I don't know what Procreate's on tonight. So on the left here, you have your kind of interface where you can see what's going on. Okay, so dashes like this, they're apostrophes because it's ASCII. Okay, ASCII is an old language that maybe your mom's computer used back in the day. You know, when she used her old school version of OnlyFans and she sent her nudes out to all of her fucking admirers. You know, I remember your ma. She's a hot one. Anyway, I'm just trying to distract you from the fact that I'm seriously laying this out. Okay. So, alright, so you got ASCII, and so this is ASCII Grasky, okay? And when you first start out in Dwarf Fortress, the first thing you do is you build a map and you do all this other stuff. I'm not going to go through all of that. There's a book for that. It's 124 pages long. It's called Getting Started with Dwarf Fortress. I own the book. It is long. And it is very in-depth. Okay? So there is definitely something there for you if you're into that. But I'm just kind of building it out right now so you can kind of see what it looks like. So you have this area right here. Let's say that this is a wall of a mountain. And I'm actually going to give you some advice for playing the game as well. Because here on Pope Explains, we want this information to be useful. Okay? Now, when you do your map, what you're going to want to do is make sure you're next to a mountain or at least an elevated area. And you're also going to want to make sure you're next to a body of water. Now, not everybody abides by the body of water thing, and some people play more challenging games that don't have bodies of water, and the bodies of water literally say 7 or 6 or 5. And the reason is for depth, okay? Remember, this is all numbers. So really, technically, I should have made this with dashes, but I didn't want to, okay? So it says 7, 5, 7, 5. That's the depth of the water at that point in time. And the reason is because this game uses physics, okay? And so the water's flowing, and as it flows, the depth is changing temporarily, okay? And then, so you have the mountain, so this is elevation, and the way they indicate elevation is with like these little dock marks right here. And then they have this area right here. This is the inside of the mountain that you can then burrow into. Okay? So, I'm going to get back to all this in a second. But then I just want to tell you about the menu a little bit. The menu has a bunch of things. So there's D for designations, G for gangsta, then there's L for take an owl. Then there's, a bunch of other stuff. And none of it makes sense. None of it is what you would intuitively think that it is. And you got to learn this like cryptic language just to play this game in the first place, all right? And that's in addition to being able to actually look at the screen that's ASCII characters, okay? So Dwarf Fortress, I think I've gotten to the point now where I can tell you the plot. The plot is that you are God, essentially. And you have a caravan of 7 dwarves, okay? And your dwarves look a little bit like this. Except this is Pope explained. So they look more like this. Okay? So you have 7 of those guys. Alright? And I'm not going to subject you to me drawing all 7 of them. But they're essentially just a smiley face. And then you have a bunch of other stuff. And it's all in different colors and stuff because it all annotates something different. But it's all, it's like, it says like C and D and B and G and A and F and B, G, D, F, and then AFI and NWA and fucking NAACP. And, it's got all this shit. And the reason is because these represent animals. Well, except for the NWA, AFI, and NAACP. Those represent super awesome groups. But I actually was building a base last night. I swear to God I was. And I had a flashing A. It was an alligator. And so what happened was my dwarves and my other guys kept attacking it. Okay? But when you first open the game, you'll notice that you got 7 of these dudes. You got your area laid out like this. And then you got all these letters and they're flashing. And so this is the good part, okay? You built the world. You have your area. Everything's laid out and flashing. And the next thing you do is you wait. You wait. You guys might think this is a glitch in the video, but it actually isn't. This is like the way it works. Because it's going to be at least 10 minutes before you figure out that there's a little thing right here that says space resume. The game is paused. Alright, it starts paused so that you can do your designations and get your mining dwarves in there to start mining out an area. Because dwarves, if you guys don't know, dwarves are the enemies of elves. Elves live in trees, which are represented by ovals like this. And dwarves bury into the ground, or they strike the earth, as they like to say in Dwarf Fortress. Okay? So it's a lot of fun. So, what do you do then? Well, that is the subject of a video series far longer than what I'm going to do for you here, because Dwarf Fortress is one of the most fucking in-depth simulators in the history of simulators. Okay? It's actually quite insane how far Tarn and Adam Adams went with this simulation. And it's like to the point where you might have a dwarf, and I'm going to color the screen black again after I erase it all. You might have this dwarf, right? So let's go ahead and build out a dwarf just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about here. All right? You're going to have a dwarf. And it's going to have a whole profile. It's religious. It has a pet chicken. It likes drinking industry. It has a fucking one broken tooth that only gives it problems during the full moon. It's a Fisher Dwarf. See, this is all random. It's random, like I just made it random. It's random in general. Okay? And so the thing that you find with the dwarves is that you got to go read these histories of them, because what will happen is you'll slaughter this pet chicken right here. You'll slaughter it because you're running out of food, and your dwarves, they need alcohol, and they need all this stuff, and they have all these problems, and you got to go figure it out. And so you slaughter a chicken just to like give yourself a little bit more time. This guy goes into depression mode, gets into a fey mood, and then kills half your base. Okay? Yes, dwarves go on murderous rampages. That was supposed to be an axe, but it looks like a P with the bubble filled in. How does one even... Yeah, there we go. All right, so there's an axe. And he just goes in and just starts hacking away at other dwarves. No, motherfucker, no. So then it leads into this chain reaction, because this dwarf right here that got axed had a girlfriend dwarf who coincidentally had a bigger beard than he did. See, this is the girlfriend dwarf right here, right? She also has that hat, because this is Pope Explained, guys. Okay, so the girlfriend dwarf fucking also goes into a fey mood, and she needs 2 chicken teeth. She needs 1 soap. She needs 3 boar vertebrae, and she needs 1 issue of 1987 Playgirl. Okay? Not for porn. She's not a sicko. She needs it because she's going to build a statue. Not that you're a sicko if you like Playgirl. Okay? In fact, there's a funny story with Peter Still from Typo Negative and Playgirl. We won't get into it here. Maybe I'll do a Pope Explains Typo Negative one day. And actually, hey, you guys want to know something personal about me? I used to live in Germany. And in Germany, they're like a lot more open about sexuality and stuff. And one time, I was hanging out in a park, and I found an issue of Playgirl. And it's interesting. I had never seen like dudes like that. I was like 10. I had never seen anything like that, and it was really interesting and just odd to me. But I don't know. It left. There was one picture, man. It was this guy. He was kind of hanging out like the side of a car or a helicopter or something, and his like dick's just like hanging out. And I'll never forget it, man. I'll never forget it. It was just like this dude just like hanging out, wild and free. And to this day, I still envy him. I wish more of us had that kind of freedom. So, if anybody knows Helicopter Dick Guy from that episode from that Playgirl back when I was 10, let him know that he's got an admirer. All right? So, she might go into a fey mood and kill everybody, or you can placate her by finding all this impossible stuff and make it happen. So, that leads into a chain reaction, and half your fortress dies. Which leads me into the purpose of Dwarf Fortress. People who play Dwarf Fortress on a long time basis have a phrase. Losing is fun. And the reason is because every fortress that you ever build will die. It will either die due to an attack by other dwarves, by animals. If you dig deep enough, you can basically unleash the forces of hell. This is true. I'm not making it up. They're called like fell beasts or something like that. No, fell beast is Lord of the Rings. What are they called? I don't remember. Maybe Braylon can remind me. I don't remember what they're called. Okay. Okay, so it'll either go by that, or it'll go just by Fey moods and chain reactions of dwarves killing each other, or sheer boredom. And you'll just abandon it and start something new because you're sick of managing the same thing. But Dwarf Fortress doesn't end there, which is one of the things that makes it really cool. So let's say you have this fortress and it falls. Okay, what you can do later is you can go in an adventurer mode, which is like Skyrim if Skyrim's dialogue system sucked assholes and it was all in fucking, early 80s monochrome text. Okay? But, well, to be fair, Skyrim's dialogue does suck. But I mean in a different way. Okay? I don't mean bad writing. It's all random, so it's a little weird. Okay? But you can actually go back to your old fort in adventure mode and reclaim, artifacts and shit like that. Why you'd want to, I don't know, but you can do that. Okay? Now, I don't think you can do it while the fort... Oh, because you can't play them both at the same time. You can only play Dwarf Fortress or Adventure mode, or Legends mode, individually. So, you kind of have to, loop them around. And there's really practical reasons for that. You can't, as an adventurer, go to your fort will fucking think you're crazy, and you can't control them both at the same time. It's just... This madness. It's madness, guys. It's absolute insanity. So, I think that I've kind of gotten far enough into the idea of Dwarf Fortress. So, I guess the only question left to answer is, do I think you should play it? Do I think it is worth your time? And the answer is yes. The reason is because Dwarf Fortress is a highly intellectual game. Okay? It's called Fortress for a reason. You're trying to build a fortress that survives, right? And it's the best. So after I got into Dwarf Fortress, I started trying to find other games like it, because, you kind of get the itch, but maybe you want to try something different. So I tried games like RimWorld, or Minecraft, which was heavily influenced by it, or Terraria, and none of them come close. Dwarf Fortress stands alone for what it is, and it is an absolutely wonderful game. It's very hard to get into. Reading the screen is like it's like cryptozoology or something, or archaeology, but once you do it, people look at you like you're insane, because you can look at a screen that has these across it, and then a bunch of little smiley faces, and a bunch of C's and A's and D's and B's and G's and L's and K's and MIBs and ACHs and, MIAs and SIAs. You can look across it, you can see it and understand it, and people look at you like you're nuts. I've seen the absolute most glorious bases made in it. People have made working computers in Dwarf Fortress. And it's very, very smart and very, very fun once you break past that initial, what they call it is a learning cliff instead of a learning curve. But once you get past it, and Braylon was the one who introduced me to it. I know I bring him up a lot on Pope Explains, and the reason is because he's just so very dear to me. And, he's like my everlasting, not only best friend, but advisor and just brother. And just, he really kind of keeps pointing me in the right direction. And I listen to him. But when he brought me Dwarf Fortress, this was before we became close, I took one look at it and I was like, that is the dumbest shit I ever heard of. No, thank you. Braydog seems cool, but no. But then eventually I did give it a real shot, and it turned out to be very rewarding. It's a game that keeps rewarding and keeps giving back over the years. And here's the best part. Dwarf Fortress is free. Now, there is a Steam release that's imminent. It's coming to Steam, and it's going to have some improvements to make it more accessible for you fucking plebes. Okay? And I have already predicted that us old school people that had to learn it the old school way, we're just going to be sitting there like, get off my fucking lawn, you fucking kids! But me personally, I encourage you all to get into it. And if that's the method in which you need to get into it, then you definitely should. So that's kind of my conclusion on Dwarf Fortress. Guys, I hope this has been informative. It's an excellent, excellent game and just so worth playing and so worth taking your time to play and learn. It's like learning a new skill or a new language, and it's wonderful. So that's it. That's what I got to say about it. So as always, I am Pope. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you.